There is a particular kind of tiredness that comes from a decision you have been carrying for weeks, not the tiredness of hard work, the tiredness of having had the same conversation 11 times, of knowing every argument on both sides so well that none of them move you anymore, and of suspecting, correctly, that you are no closer to an answer than you were a month ago. This is a book about getting out of that. Most decision advice is a list of things that are true and do not help. This one computes its own argument instead. A single work decision runs from the first chapter to the last. A household, 3 real options, 9 criteria, weight set before anything was scored. It comes out 3.95 against 3.84, a lead of 2.8%, which looks like an answer and is not one. So the book asks a question almost nobody asks. For every criterion, how far would its weight have to move before the ranking reverses? The nearest is 3.1 points out of 100. That is smaller than the amount most people would move a weight if asked to justify it out loud. And 4 of the 9 criteria cannot change the answer at any weight whatever. On 3 of them, the 2 leading options score the same. On the 4th, the weight simply cannot fall far enough to matter. Every argument about those 4 is an argument that cannot change the outcome. Then it turns on the method itself. 4 things a careful, honest person does to their own scoring. Revising a weight on the way home from a viewing. Adding a criterion that occurred to them late. Re-anchoring a scale that was compressing a real spread. Quietly merging away the one their favorite loses on. Each is applied to the same matrix, and the effect is computed. 2 of the 4 reverse the winner. Nobody lies at any point, and the chapter shows why the tell is sequence rather than dishonesty. If you are deciding with somebody else, the same 9 criteria get weighted twice. The 2 pages reach different winners from the same evidence. So the book swaps 1 weight at a time and finds which differences are actually responsible. 3 of the 9. And the largest gap between the 2 pages, the one about money, is not one of them. Most of what a couple argues about cannot change the answer, and this tells you which part can. Now the engines chain. How close the decision is sets how likely you are to be wrong. What it would cost to undo sets what being wrong is worth. Multiply them and you have what checking has earned. For this decision, a 33% chance of picking wrong against a 46,000 unwind gives a diligence budget of 15,180. Enter the same choice a reversible way, and that falls to 792. Same decision, same closeness, a completely different correct amount of work. Then it spends that budget. 20 checks you could run before committing, each with what it costs, how long it takes, how often it changes the call, and what being wrong would cost. 9 of them cost nothing but time, and the whole free list runs in 14 days in parallel. The 11 that cost money are ranked by value per unit of cost, and the 3 sensible orderings disagree with each other. If they agreed, the advice would be, do the cheap ones first, and nobody would need a ledger. None of that helps if the criteria are wrong, and the hardest part of a weighted decision is knowing what belongs in the left-hand column before you have met the candidates. So there is a criteria library. 57 criteria across 7 kinds of decision: a home, a job, a school, a vehicle, care for someone, a contractor, a financial commitment. Each is marked as a screening gate or a scoring criterion, which is the distinction most templates skip. Score a fatal flaw instead of gating on it, and you have made it outvotable by 8 small conveniences. And there are 12 decision traps, written as what each one sounds like inside your own head rather than as a textbook definition. Because you will never catch yourself thinking, the sunk cost fallacy. You will catch yourself thinking, we have already spent so much on this. Each carries the tell, the counter move, and the chapter whose method diffuses it. It arrives as 4 PDFs, 110 pages. The book itself, 15 chapters with 1 exercise at the end of each. The criteria library and the traps, and the full arithmetic reference, which prints every input and every step so you can check the working, disagree with an estimate, and run the whole thing on your own decision. There is a reason this is 4 PDFs and not a course with a login. A big decision happens rarely, and then it happens again years later about something else entirely. Nothing here needs a seat or a subscription, and it cannot be discontinued when somebody decides the product is no longer strategic. Print the chapters you use, write in the margins, and hand the marked up copy on. It will still open in 10 years. How to make a big decision from Ardent Workshop. It is general decision-making guidance, not financial, legal, medical, or tax advice. And every figure in the worked example is an invented household's own estimate, printed so the arithmetic can be followed. The method travels, the figures do not. Links are below.